Welcome back to Speaking Llama, a Survivor podcast. We are here, unfortunately, with the great Shonee, third member of our jury of Australian Survivor Heroes versus Villains. How are you doing today after your brutal vote out last night?
I'm actually really good. I was so nervous about like letting down the fans, but literally everyone has been so nice to me and they've been like really grateful for me taking the time out of my life to make this show. So that's made me feel so much better. But I mean, obviously I would love the 500,000 as well.
Right, who wouldn't? Shonee, I will tell you. So I had not seen your original season, but watched All Stars. And two of my favorites of players have been Harry and Nick. And as
Yeah.
soon as you teamed up with them, I was like, I told Alex, I love Shonee. She's great. And so watching you back on, you were my winner pick this time around. But you
Oh.
did not disappoint at all season long. We would love to hear, as you know, you're the only third-time player out there. This is what how did going in this time feel different? Did you prepare different? What were you thinking heading in this time around?
It felt so different playing for a third time. I feel like, the first time you play, a massive goal of mine was like, I really want to get to merge because then I get to see the whole show play out. The second time, I was a little bit more ballsy because I've already had that jury villa experience. And then when I'm going back for the third time, I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, I'm the only person that's ever been asked to play three times. So that just took so much pressure off myself,
Hmm.
because I also went in with the expectation of like, who knows how long I'm actually going to be there for. So I wanted to just go in, make the most of my time there, and just be bold. And I definitely played my boldest game yet. I definitely took a lot of risks that I would normally like on my first season, I would never.
Absolutely. What do you think one of those, like, what was your favorite risk that you took? Hmm.
I mean, even just like the vote where we were going to vote Stevie, and
Yeah.
then Liz and I were like, kind of like, let's just see if we can like switch our whole tribe's mind.
Yeah.
Because we were just like, we had been going to tribal council after time and time. And normally I wouldn't just do something so like spur of the moment. But we were like, yeah, should we just do it? Let's see what happens. And everyone was like, yeah. And then even like, I like played an idol for George. And I was just like, oh yeah, like I'm pretty sure they would be voting for you over me. So let's just see what happens.
Well, I love that tribal council and your commentary about it too. Of this is not my first rodeo. There's too much whispering. Absolutely
Yeah,
genius.
it's definitely quite obvious sometimes when you're there and people are like, yeah, yeah. But then before camp, everyone's running off together. And then at tribal council, they're whispering a lot to someone who they're supposedly voting off. It's kind of like you can see straight through it.
Well, Shonee, in my mind, what distinguishes a good Survivor player from an excellent Survivor player is the ability to play both from the top and the bottom of the tribe. And I feel like your first couple seasons, especially All Stars, you were playing from the bottom, unfortunately, a lot.
I
This
was
season from the
literally
top.
bottom feeder the whole entire time, except for when I went to Vakama, is that what they're called? Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I was finally like, I can stop being on the bottom for once. I definitely think being flexible is a major element to being a great player because you really just like never know. It's actually quite funny. Like, I obviously wasn't expecting that evening when we had to do a physical activity at like 11 p.m. And I was like, just be flexible, Shonee. Like, suck it up, princess. But in my mind, I'm like, no, like, I don't want to put my joggers on again. Like, are you kidding me, bro? Like, sorry, I'm not enthusiastic about getting physical at midnight.
Yeah.
I do the same. I don't want to take off my Crocs to have to
No,
get
no way.
ready.
Crocs are life.
Oh man. I mean, Shonee, you are also one of, like, I think the best confessional givers that we've seen on Survivor. That's across international versions as well. And one of the things we realize that when we watch Survivors that we don't get to see everything that happens, right? We only get to see a limited kind of scope. And I think the big question that I have from last night is, why do you think George targets you? It's you and Liz together that he kind of like identifies as might work against him. I think I obviously think he should have targeted Liz over you, but why do you think you were the vote rather than Liz?
I think because I am a third-time player, and he,
Hmm.
mentioned when he voted that I was like her mentor. So I think that he's kind of like, Shonee has, we obviously, Liz and I are very close working together, but I guess he saw me as a bit of a mentor. And I imagine if I did get to the end, I feel like I could absolutely slay that.
Yeah.
Yep, you had it. So I'm curious too, when you think about your in-game strategy, what was your ideal path to get to the end? Who did you want to sit by? When would you start cutting people? What would that look like for you if you were in the game?
So I wanted the final to be Liz and I, because I am the type of person that if I'm not going to win, then I definitely want one of my friends to win, because yes, I understand that it's like the title that a lot of people care about, but you also have to remember it's $500,000, and I would want that to go to someone that is a good friend of mine. And then I thought that we would have a decent chance up against Jerry and Simon as well. But yeah, like, didn't happen.
Yes, unfortunately, right, George, right, took a shot first before you had the chance. Was there ever a moment where you thought that, hey, if I was going to take a shot at George, maybe earlier on, was there a moment that you really considered doing that earlier?
So Liz and I had a conversation while we were having our exfoliation, that we should do it next. So I mean, this is why it's like, I'm not, George did that, but it's not as if I wasn't thinking it either.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I mean, I think that's right. You kind of said it like at the tribal council, right? If you're not thinking about the long term, then what are you even doing, right? You're not playing the game, thinking about who you're going to be sitting next with, how the jury is going to be perceiving those people. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things, right? That he just got there before you did, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Shonee, I've got a question. So I want you to let us in on a little secret. You found 3 hidden immunity idols this season. You've found them previous seasons too. What is the secret to finding hidden immunity idols on Survivor? Because you are great at it.
It's funny because like everyone is looking for idols non-stop. Like it's like anytime you do anything, you're always looking for an idol. And then what I thought was funny was like the first time was with Liz and Geordie, and it was like we were going to the well to have like a leisure activity. We're going for a bath, a bit of self-care. And then that's where I saw, because Simon obviously had the clue, and then I saw that coconut with that on it. And I was like, oh my God, full leisure activity. And then the second one, I was enjoying a charcuterie board. Like, amazing. Eating a mince pie, there's an idol. Perfect. The third one was I think you saw how shocked I was. Because it was like, I'm just going on another leisure activity again, doing some exfoliating. And then as I was drying myself, there was like a hole in a rock. And I just saw like this bow of the rope. And that's like what stood out to me. And I was like, what is going on? So yeah, like don't worry about getting on your hands and knees, like digging around in the dirt. Go for some leisure activities and you probably come up way better.
Yeah, that sounds like the strategy, right? Go do some self-care out there, enjoy it, and you'll just, find some idols. So
yeah, after you.
Right,
be
right. Well, speaking of that idol, did you have a sense of that you were going to be the vote out that night? Did you like see the whispers happening around camp? What were you thinking during that tribal council?
So in the episode last night, they play me saying to Matt, "Oh, I don't know about this. I've got a bad feeling. It seems too easy." And then when I voted, I said, "I do not have the best feeling." And I'm kind of laughing. And then at tribal council, I say to Liz, oh, I don't know, how do you feel about this vote? So I definitely had a feeling that something was off. But because I had such a rough 24 hours before that, I kind of just told myself, like, you're just being silly, like you're being crazy, like don't worry about it, just ignore it. So I didn't, and I feel like, yeah, I obviously, if I had known for sure, then I definitely would have. But at that moment, I just thought I was being overreacting, being silly, and it was just down to the exhaustion.
Yes, and it's hard to know which one it is at that point, I imagine.
Yeah.
So Shonee, one question we always like to ask is, we know there's so much that happens on the island that we don't get to see on the show. Can you let us in on something fun or a memorable moment that you had that we didn't get to see in one of the episodes?
Oh gosh, there's actually so much. I'll just tell you something big.
Okay, perfect.
Channel 10 will come in. Stop it. No, I'm kidding. We did get some letters from home. So nice. And mine was so funny. It was from my nephews, and it was an acrostic poem that said like Shonee, and N was nifty. And I was just like crying of laughter. And then it was basically a collage of Harry Styles with like little beach bubbles saying, I'm so proud of you, Sean. It was great. So yeah, that was really cool.
I love it. One of my favorite moments from All Stars, when you all get your kind of gifts from home, and everyone has pictures or letters, and you get Sunnies. I love it.
Yeah. I cry over a sandwich because I'm like, oh my God, I'm starving. Me and this show is I am always like on the side that never gets rewards. So like I'm always just like, oh, another day not getting to eat whatever they're eating.
Well, I mean, I think it's fair to say that you are probably one of the best Survivor players in Australian Survivor. Whether you think so or not, it has been a pleasure to watch you. And my real last question for you is why are you so awesome?
Oh, that is so cute. Honestly, I think I am very much myself. Like I say a lot of the things that is just like the first thing that comes to my mind. I think I just don't really care. So I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Then I think I come across quite authentic. And yeah, that's just me. But I'm honestly so like grateful for like the support and love that I get, because it is quite scary, like putting yourself out there to be judged by the country. But yeah, it makes me really grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I don't know if a fourth time is in your future or not, but I hope that if we do see you, I know that maybe we'll get that win next time around. But
never
know. Well, Shonee, thank you so much for chatting with us today. We wish you the best of luck, and yeah, like I said, hopefully we'll see you out there soon.
Thank you so much. So nice to talk to you both. Bye.
Yeah. Have a good day.